I'm currently sitting in my 1993 Mazda Miata that I have owned for 4 years, and in those 4 years I have not been able to drive it once, and that's because it runs extremely rich and extremely bad. I decided in this video we're gonna finally fix it, and at the end of this video we're gonna take it for its first official drive. I'm gonna show you guys how bad it currently runs, and then we're gonna get it washed, get it in the shop on the lift, and see what's going on. So let's get straight to it. It might sound okay on camera, but it actually runs so bad. The engine shakes so much at idle, and it's literally dumping gas out the exhaust. Even though it runs like trash, it looks amazing. The sky, sure. I've thrown so many different parts at this car over the years, and I've tried countless different things in hopes of fixing the issue, but I have a feeling I should take another look at the fuel system, so our first order of business is to inspect everything fuel related. All right, now that it's washed, let's get it pulled inside, put it on the lift, and see what's going on. All right, it's time to get my astronaut suit on. Going under. Oh, yep. My suit just ripped. Oh, wow. All right. These are the fuel lines. Shiny new filter because I've replaced it like 4 times. Looking back, I definitely should have questioned why I had to replace the fuel filter so many times, but honestly, I think I knew the answer and was avoiding it. I feel like I'm gonna have to drop the fuel tank. Everything's so small on this car. Now the plan is to drain the tank, flush some gas through it, and see how that looks. Did that break it loose? Oh, yep. Oh, bro, I'm already covered in gas. Oh my God. Bruh. Dirty gas tank acquired to safely store this bad gas. If these little specks are all magnetic, then I think we might have found our problem. Let's grab a magnet. Moment of truth. That is all rust from my tank. All of that is chunks of rust. What I think is happening is every time I replace the fuel pressure regulator, the injectors, the fuel filter, I can do that all the time, but if it has huge debris in the gas, then none of that will matter because it'll immediately clog the filter, it'll go past it, it'll get in my injectors, in the fuel pressure regulator and cause problems. So I think debris is getting past the filter and clogging my injectors, which would explain why it doesn't matter how many injectors I put in there or how much I clean them, it still just keeps happening because I'm kind of putting a band-aid on the root problem. So fingers crossed we don't have to drop this tank, because in order to do that we have to drop the whole subframe, which isn't a huge deal, but let's see if we could flush everything out and get clear gas. And after we get the gas coming out clear from the tank, we could replace the filter and replace the injectors and see how it runs. Let's get to it. While the rest of the gas was draining, I decided to pull the fuel pump assembly so I could access the tank from the top and actually look down into it, and that's when I made the discovery. Oh, that is so much worse than I thought. Whoa! There's no way. That ain't getting flushed out. All right, y'all, before I show you in there, let me just do this real quick. Look at this. Bruh. That's insane. I think we might have found our problem. This is the worst tank I have ever seen. This method is not gonna flush all that out. I need a whole new tank, which means I have to drop the rear subframe. All right, I found someone with a gas tank that lives about 2 hours away. I also ordered a new pickup because look at this. Yikes. So I got a new pickup ordered. I also got a set of plugs ordered with the pickup that'll be here in the morning. And I found someone selling 2 sets of injectors. So I'm gonna pick those up as well. I'll be back in the morning with all the parts to fix this car. So let's get to it. All right, we should have everything we need to get this car running solid. We got a fuel filter, fuel pickup, spark plugs, new injectors. I even picked up a new cat, or new to me cat. And this fuel tank might look old, which I guess it is, but it looks brand new inside. Let me grab a flashlight. Yeah, we are solid. All new parts ready to go in. But before they could go in, I had to get to work and get all the old parts out. Removing the subframe was actually surprisingly easy. It was just 3 bolts on each side, and then that long centerpiece is called the PPF, the power plant frame. There's 3 bolts connecting that to the transmission, and then some brake lines, e-brake cables, and then it could be removed. And now it's time to remove this old gas tank. And honestly, the hardest part was getting these hoses off. They were completely stuck on there, but I ended up getting them off. And then I had to remove the hoses up top, and then there's 4 bolts at the bottom, and I could drop it down. I'm gonna start by pulling the subframe outside and getting it power washed. Since it's out, we might as well clean it. Definitely glad I decided to clean this rear subframe because it needed it desperately. Now that it's all cleaned up, we can get it back inside and start working on installing this gas tank. I started off by swapping a few things from my old tank to the new tank, and then I went ahead and replaced the fuel filter where I had easy access, and then I could actually install the tank. It was also time to clean up the fuel pump assembly because there was lots of surface rust on it, so I spent a long time getting this thing nice and clean, then went ahead and reinstalled the fuel pump and the new fuel pickup. I also installed a TV, and my dad even pulled up to watch the Kings game, and we watched them lose their 12th game straight, which ties the Sacramento record. And after another tough loss, it's time to get this rear subframe reinstalled. Bruh. All right, I got everything done. It's actually the next day. My camera died late last night. I got it started last night, and unfortunately, it did not fix the issue, which sucks because that was a lot of work. I'm still glad I did all that and went through the trouble because it was gonna cause an issue in the future. At this point, I'd rather the motor just be bad and then I could rebuild the motor or swap it, but not knowing what it is has been driving me crazy. Sheesh, forgot how low it was. I gotta jack it up to get the quick jacks out. Forgot about that though. Dang, this thing is low. Oh my God, I forgot how low it was. Hasn't even been that long. All right, let's get these quick jacks out. With the car running just as bad as it did before, I decided to sit down and rethink everything. So I ultimately chose to do a fuel pressure and compression test again. I just was doing the fuel pressure off camera. The fuel pressure all looks fine. So the next step is to go ahead and do a compression test. So let's get started with that. After the compression test, I cleaned my plugs. They're brand new, and literally after running this car for like 5 minutes, they just get covered in like black soot. Basically, I was noticing number 2 was the only one that looked normal. I remember my dad saying, if you can move the problem around, you found the problem. I swapped the injector from number 2 to number 1, cleaned the plugs, put them back in, and then ran it for another 5 to 10 minutes. Pulled the plugs, and sure enough, the problem had moved. So I was hopeful that means I had found the problem. I've gone through literally, I'm not even joking, probably like 30 injectors for this car, most of them being brand new. I think I learned that you can't buy cheap injectors. I even gone through a lot of stock sets, but I still had issues with those. I found one more stock set I hadn't tried, and sure enough, when I installed that, it ran significantly better. So I dialed in all the little things like setting the TPS and adjusting the idle, and finally, after years and years of trial and error, this car is finally solid. So with that said, it's time for its first official drive. Building this car has been a long process, so I'm definitely glad that it is solid and 100%. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.